Hello and welcome to episode 436 of the Stacey West podcast. My name is Gary. I'm beginning to feel a little grey around the edges. Now we're on episode 436 and we are only 10 days away from the Stacey West as a brand, as a website, as an outlet, celebrating 10 whole years. Joining me this evening is somebody that has not been with us for those 10 whole years, but I am sure was one of the early adopters of reading my stuff. So we will give him the benefit of the doubt in that. It's Chris Lamming. How are you?
Hello. Yes, I was. Early adopter of reading, early adopter of listening before joining as a co-host, of course. Also, though, very grey around the edges. Have been for a while. Maybe it's something to do with the Stacey West, maybe not. But I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I am absolutely knackered, if I'm honest. Yeah, I did a silly thing. So I'm doing a challenge with Dale Rowson, good friend of mine. We've been friends since class 3 of primary school, which I think is about when you're 8 or 9 years old. And we used to have a little seat in Miss Jones's class next to each other, and we've been friends ever since. We've not always been like tight. You know, we went off to uni. I didn't visit him there, but we've always been friends. And yeah, he said, should we do a running challenge this year? Because he's a runner. He's a better runner than me. He's a physically fit man, and I'm not. And I was like, yeah, because we'll try, see who can get to 1,000 kilometers first. So we signed up for this 1,000 kilometer thing. And he runs like 8K 3 times a week. And then he goes on a Saturday morning and does 14K. And in a minute, I am running slower than I was running when I finished the couch to 5K. I don't know if it's since I had COVID, but I don't seem to be able to breathe. I'm having to stop every kilometer. And yesterday he went out and did 14K, which meant I needed to put at least 7K in today to get back ahead of him. And honestly, it's the stupidest 7K I've ever done. I have genuinely never run in conditions like I ran in today. Like there was a headwind and it was coming straight at me. I'm running against it. And I genuinely felt like I was in a cartoon, you know, where your legs are going, but you're not moving anywhere. And this lady I know, she's technically a next door neighbour, but the house is 2.5 kilometres away. Like if you turn right out of my house, you go just carry straight on. It's down there. She pulled over at the side of the road with her son, wound the window down. She goes, I know you're a runner, but I just wondered in these conditions if maybe you wanted a lift home. It's like, I do. Yeah, I do, but I'm not going to take one. I mean, I really did. So yeah, just crazy day. What about you?
Yeah, not a crazy day at all. It was treacherous conditions walking from my house to the pub for Sunday lunch. I have to say that was found it very difficult to walk all the way to the Adam and Eve from just near the co-op where we live. Long old walk that was in freezing conditions. To tell you, that was the challenge of my day. That's all I've been up to. Really nice relaxing Sunday. Eve. Yeah.
Did you have the lamb, the beef, or the pork?
None of the above. We had the turkey stuffing roulade. And it was genuinely superb. I haven't actually been to the Adam and Eve for food for ages, like years. And it was excellent. Yeah, had a really nice time. Both Steph and I were here. We had nothing else planned. So it was a bit of a ad hoc decision to go and treat ourselves a little bit. So yeah, that was nice. I didn't fancy getting out doing anything active this morning. I have to say, yesterday is obviously basically the same sort of conditions, wasn't it? If not arguably worse.
Yesterday was better.
Okay.
In terms of wind and rain and hail and that, there was none of that yesterday.
Well, as I've mentioned a few times, I've kind of not retired from football anymore. I just keep my eye now and then playing for market raising as and when required. And I've absolutely loved playing. Absolutely loved getting back into it. However, I did have my fingers crossed that the other keeper was available for the match yesterday away in Grimsby. And thankfully he was. So Will Bradford, good lad, thank you for being available. I'll happily play any other game, but just, the conditions yesterday, I really didn't fancy it. I know that's not the right mentality to have, but I'm being honest, I wasn't up for it. And I was pleased that we didn't have to play.
So you and Steph got up this morning and made an impromptu walk to the pub, which is probably worst case scenario, 0.5 kilometre away.
Oh, and maximum.
I noticed from her Instagram this morning that Emily has made an impromptu trip to Dublin, which is a little bit further away. So
fair play. That's interesting. That is. I'm pretty jealous of that.
A quick question for you before we introduce what's going on today, because 35 people have logged in and literally we've got no football to talk about at all, but we will make it interesting for you, I promise. Can you name the player that I first wrote about, the very first thing I wrote that later became the Stacey West podcast, the Stacey West site? So I always used to say that it was Chris Moyes being away at Wrexham and we got beat, and I think he swore at some supporters who had sworn at him. And I always said that was the first article, but it actually wasn't. I wrote something on the 21st of January, 2016, about a Lincoln City player.
Liam Hearn.
Ooh, that's a good guess, but it's not right.
It was a genuine guess as well. I had no idea.
March 22nd, I wrote about Liam Hearn. I actually wrote about John Nolan.
Oh.
And it was John Nolan signing for Grimsby. So it wasn't anything to do with Lincoln, really at all. It was writing about an ex-player doing something. And here I am, 10 years later, writing about Cenk Akar signing for Corby Town this afternoon and Gary Mills going to Burton as the assistant manager. It just goes to show you there's a market for obscure, what your former heroes are doing, obscure football information.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, they are interesting. However, that was prime clickbait earlier.
It was good, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Like I had to begrudgingly respect it.
The thing is, like, people come to the Stacey West because they want to read about Lincoln City. But Rico Hackett potentially signing a new contract. Peter O'Rourke puts it out. It's everywhere within seconds. Why would you then go to a website to talk about that? But not very many people have got... Gary Mills was a player, was captain of Lincoln City. People who were following Lincoln back then either liked him or... No, actually, nobody liked him. They either didn't like him or they didn't like him more. And like when it pops back up, you're almost like the people who come to the Stacey West anyway don't mind a title that's a little bit ambiguous. But if I'm going to make this full time, I've got to draw other things as well. And like Ryan, who I'm back working with again now, on the deck, did an article about Leo Castledine signing for Middlesbrough. Now, that could be a Middlesbrough angle, a Huddersfield angle, but he puts Chelsea involved in deal for 12-goal midfielder, and he goes up on the bloody Premier League news now. But it's not wrong. It's not wrong, is it?
He's not lying. It's not lying. It might not be telling the full truth, but it's not lying.
Admittedly, me doing an article about an academy player who had 1 year as a professional, never played for us and left in 2016, and then putting as a playoff chase inside, which Corby are. Like, some people might look at it and think, bloody hell, Jovan McCarmer chasing the playoffs with Norwich. But no, it's Cenk Akar chasing the... And I love it when someone comes, but like a news story comes up and it's like, Corby Town sign 8. I'm like, brilliant. Because you can almost, or Charlie, you've just jumped the gun there, mate. You can almost kind of think, well, one of those players is going to have a Lincoln City connection, even if it's someone that was sent off against Lincoln 2 years ago or whatever. So, yeah, I'm learning more about local non-league than anything. I really am. So, yeah, there we go. Right. So we are going to talk about Lincoln City. So what we have, some of you will know this, some of you will not know this, but we have a Discord channel for those that are patrons of the Stacey West. And it's nice and lively. It's great. Some of the people in there are superb because they'll put news about ex-imps that I haven't seen, which I can then jump on and write articles about. So it's brilliant. It's really, really good community. Everybody's polite to each other, even though there are contrasting characters in there. And we have said to those people today, or rather Charlie has, ask us some questions. Me and Chris, Gary and Chris are going to be on the podcast. Get your questions ready. Here's the killer. We've done it before and it went down really well. We don't know what the questions are. We've had no luck whatsoever at any of the questions. What's going to happen when we say go is Charlie's going to put the questions up. We're going to read them out. I'll read one. Chris will read the next one so that you can, and then we'll answer those questions. But we don't know what they are. Yeah. So,
Garrett, like, this is fun. Hopefully, I don't know what the questions are. It might not be, but I hope it's going to be fun. However, I normally spend a good 2 or 3 hours prepping for every podcast. Not doing any has been weird, but also I just, without my little kind of notebook in front of me, I feel naked. I don't know what's coming up, and yeah, this is a horrible feeling. I'm sure it will have a great laugh and it'll be interesting, but it's weird to feel so ill prepared.
Yes, indeed. So we will get into it in a moment or two. I'm quite excited because I don't prepare for podcasts really anyway. I do because I write about a game, and then that's kind of preparation in itself. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite exciting. We don't know what we're going to get asked. It's going to be a test to see that are we just kidders or not, or do we actually know what we're talking about? So it's going to be good. So we will get on with some questions in a second. I'll read the first one, Chris will answer, and then I'll answer. And then the next one will come up. Chris reads it, I'll answer, and then Chris answers. So that's more for me and Chris than for the guys at home. But hello to everybody who is in the chat at the minute. Again, a great community building up in there, whether it's Flossie or Devon or all sorts of people, even missing each other when they're not in there. So it's nice to see that. Right, Chris, are you ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
Come on then, Charlie, let's have that first question. Which players in the squad do you think will and won't be able to make the step up to the Championship if we were to get promoted? I think rather than going through the whole squad, it's probably going to be easiest to pick a couple each that can and probably a couple each that wouldn't.
Okay.
Agreed?
Oh, this is horrible. Yeah, horrible to kind of pick the ones that won't. But I think our style dictates this a little bit, because if we were playing the type of football that we were under Michael Appleton, maybe when we last had a really serious go at promotion, I would say you really need super technical players to be able to take that jump up into the Championship. With everyone's technical ability is going to be higher, so you need to be able to kind of match them in that regard. For us, we're kind of already punching above our weight in that regard, because we've got some technical ability in our team, but that's not the defining characteristic, is it? The defining characteristic is all those kind of intangible things: our organisation, our strength, our athleticism, our intensity, etc. So I suppose the players that really identify and kind of enhance that are the ones that I think would be able to make the jump up. I think Fred, his style, just how he plays it, he will be a handful for any defence at any level. I think Ben House probably would suit it pretty well. I feel Tom Hamer seems like he'll be able to take the step up quite comfortably. Ivan Varfolomiev is a player that can grow with the club. I'd say they're the main ones for me at the moment. Rob Street, I think he's kind of Ben House in lots of different ways. He's becoming more and more like Ben House, I would say, in his style of out of possession. That's not to say that the other players couldn't make the step up, but they're the ones that I would say would be more likely to be around for longer. Let's say we go up and stay up, they probably would still be part of the squad in 2-3 years' time, whereas maybe some of the others wouldn't be. Probably add George Wickens to that as well. I'm sure I've missed one or two, but they're the ones that are jumping out to me.
You've literally taken everything that I was going to answer and answered it. I think George Wickens is one obvious one. I'm really pleased you said Fred, because I think that would be quite a controversial one for some people. But I think the way that Fred plays, yes. I think if we were talking about loan players, I couldn't see at the minute Justin Abikru stepping up, but then a year ago we probably couldn't have seen it with Jovan Makama. I think one or two of the players that we think would step up, when you think about age and you think about having another year on them, it may be difficult. Tendai, for instance, he's high energy, but it has been caught out once or twice by fast wingers, particularly against Peterborough. I thought he had a torrid first 20 minutes. He was man of the match, by the way, and was outstanding and got in FIFA Team of the Week. But I think that you would be looking at putting energy in the areas where potentially the legs would begin to tire. Adam Jackson, maybe not. When I say not able, I actually don't think any of them are unable to make the step up. But there are a few that you think might just get left behind. Players that are out on loan at the moment as well, like a JJ McKinnon, probably not going to be part of our League One team next season. You look at some of the youngsters we've got out on loan, it makes it much harder for them to be in and around the side. So you think it would certainly be another year out on loan for MJ, another year out on loan for Zane, possibly another year out on loan for Oshin. Whereas actually, by the way that they're playing, particularly MJ and Oshin, if we stay in League One, I think they're potentially going to be around the first team squad next season. So I don't think we would need wholesale changes were we to go up, because as you alluded to, our style isn't built on technical grace. It isn't built on technical ability. It's not about beating players. It's a lot of it is energy and work without the ball. And I think those attributes are easier to transfer up than some of the other attributes, which is why teams that have played nice football like, I mean, Bury would be a bad example, but like an MK Dons or something like that have come out of League Two playing brilliant, expansive football. They get into League One, and actually the players can't make that step up because they're good footballers for League Two, but not for League One. Whereas here, the players we've got are good footballers because of what they do out of possession, and that's easier to uplift, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. And you see it in the Premier League a little bit more recently because, for years there's been the same three going up and down pretty much every season. And you often see those teams that kind of out-football their opposition in the Championship get out-footballed and out-fought themselves in the Premier League and get nowhere near it. Like Norwich were kind of probably a prime example of that when they were the yo-yo team. There are a few other examples. I think it's telling that, the majority of the promoted Premier League teams this season are doing better than they have been over the last few years, but they've been doing that by being aggressive, being hard to beat, by being kind of physical. So I think there's a style of football that helps. Maybe it doesn't give you the highest ceiling, but it certainly lifts the floor up and keeps you in games. And that's kind of a defining characteristic of us. How do we punch above our weight in League One? I think that gives us the best opportunity of punching above our weight in the Championship, should we get there. So, yeah, I think it does transfer. And I think the players that exemplify that probably kind of grow with it. Just seen in the chat, completely, neither of us have mentioned Jack Morland. I think he's a sort of player that can create something out of nothing. So providing that the tactical side doesn't leave him behind, if we take a step up, then yeah, he's probably that player that does have that technical flair and ability to, in those games where we can't break an opposition down or we can't get a foothold in the game, can still keep us in there. So maybe he's someone that could grow with us as well. It's mad, isn't it? This time last year, we probably wouldn't really pick many players, but because they've proven themselves to be currently a top 2 League One team, like, you can see their qualities and how they could take, the majority of them probably could take a step up and give us a fighting chance of surviving.
Yeah. Right, Charlie, but I keep wanting to call him Charlie Bum because that's my bloody dog's name. Chris, I'll hand that one over to you. Oh,
this is the next question. So if we went up, how do you think this impacts our young academy prospects like Zayn Okoro, MJ Kamaro, Oisin Gallagher, etc.?
Yeah, this is interesting because we would be in fewer competitions, wouldn't be in the EFL Trophy, so there wouldn't be as many opportunities for those players to get minutes were they to stay around the side. Like if they come back next year and we're in League One, we are less likely, certainly with somebody like MJ that's smashing it now in Ireland, and certainly somebody like Oisin who's doing really well at Boston United, are likely to get minutes in the EFL Trophy, whereas not being in that competition would actually probably mean they would be more likely to be out on loan. You would expect that if we do go up, all three of those as the starting points, you'd be looking at a League Two loan. You've got to be looking at that for them. If you're a Championship side and you're loaning out players to the National League, they're either really young or they're just not going to make it. And I'm sorry, but that's how it is. It's like, I know you kind of say, yeah, well, what about League One and National League North? There's a hell of a lot in terms of closeness. Those two leagues are a lot closer, National League North and League One, than the Championship and the National League are, because there's such a chasm between the Championship and League One, but there isn't really between the National League and National League North. So, yeah, I think that you'd be looking at loan players there. And let's not forget, Charlie Carlisle, Charlie Parks, Daniel Van Der Pue, Noah Simmons. They've got a lot of young players actually out on loan at the moment. I don't actually, my honest answer is I don't think it would change a huge amount for them, because I still think that bar maybe MJ and Oisin, and potentially Zayn, all of the others will go out on loan no matter what. So what it actually does, makes it easier for us to attract players to our academy when we're a Championship club.
Yeah, great point. Not a lot to add, really. I just agree with you. Be interesting, wouldn't it? Because if Zayn and MJ and Oisin all have successful second halves of the season, which, they've all got strong chances of doing that. Particularly MJ looked like he was struggling to get in the team, but is now kind of undroppable, it looks like, for Glentoran. If they all have strong second halves of the season and we remain in League One, you'd imagine all three of them would be involved in pre-season. All three of them would be in and around the first team squad. Like you say, would have loan opportunities, but also have cup opportunities for us. And then you just see where they fit in. This time last year, we'd probably have saw Zayn at the head of that list and kind of closer to the first team. But it's a bloody big jump, isn't it, from League One to the Championship? And yeah, you'd imagine it makes it easier to make that decision. Have another good loan out, boys. Good luck. Onwards and upwards.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if Ireland have some sort of winter break, do they? I don't think there's been any games in Ireland since the turn of the year, unless it's been weather related. But I think I worked out that MJ had played however many minutes, all of his minutes, bar like 50 of them. So he's played in the League of Ireland 631 minutes, and over 550 of those have come since the beginning of December. So
looking at this, they've been playing over Christmas.
Over Christmas they haven't. There is summer season according to Charlie. I think that's the other.
No,
islands,
League of Ireland is summer season. Northern Ireland is the same as us.
Yeah.
There's a couple of weeks gap I can see here. They've got a couple of weeks between now and the 13th.
Very good. Right. So if Charlie, we can have the next question, mate, please. If we do go up, there's a theme here, isn't there? You know,
why not?
There's a prefix to most of these questions. If we do go up, do you think we would look to move away from Sincilbank or look to expand, Chris?
I don't think there are any serious plans to move away from Sincilbank, regardless of what division we're in any time soon. I think there's been a lot of investment going on at the ground over the last few years, both kind of on the pitch and in the kind of the stuff that we see as fans, but also kind of in the infrastructure around it and the bits we don't see, like the irrigation and whatnot, that's cost quite a bit of money. So I would fully expect to see us stay at Sincilbank. If we, we're a yo-yo club and we go up and come straight back down again, I can't see a lot changing. But if we go up and we're able to kind of get a bit of a foothold and become a relatively sustainable championship outfit, I can see us looking at ways to expand Sincilbank. The obvious is finding a way to extend the St Andrews side of the ground in some way, shape, or form. I would be very surprised to see us seriously look to move away off the back of one promotion up to the championship.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I'm going to say I agree with that 100% without a doubt. I don't think I think the plans for us to move away was something that we were looking at tentatively. But I actually think that there's far too much to it. Like you say, if we go to the Premier League, it might be a little bit different. If you're trying to pull 20 or 30,000, would we get that? I don't know. I think realistically, as a Premier League team, Lincoln City could sustain 20,000. And as the likes of Mansfield and Grimsby happily tell us, we're not one of the best supported clubs, but we are in terms of filling our current ground. And I think that's key. You don't want to be moving to a 12, 15,000 seater stadium in case you go up and then get 6 or 7 in it like Rotherham do. We go to Rotherham. I've never been to Rotherham where there's an atmosphere ever. Every time I go to Rotherham, it just feels dead. It feels like an empty bowl, and it's a nice ground. So yeah, I think that we just look to do what we can. I know that the club, and I've been on the fan advisory board in the past, you're on it now. It's never off the table. There's always discussions about what they're going to upgrade at the ground. My understanding is, I don't know what they are, but there are upgrades planned for this coming pre-season. We know a scoreboard is one of them. It's just little things like that indicate to me there's no way that we'd be looking at rebuilding. What could we do? Realistically, people talk about the St Andrews side being done, but that's actually really difficult with club offices and stuff over there. Actually, the executive box end and the fan zone end is probably something that they could look to expand, because you could build that up without losing the view of the cathedral. You could probably quite easily just take the top level off, add another tier to the stand, and then put boxes if needed above that and use space at the background for the fan zone and the fans village. So yeah, that's just,
Yeah, I think it's good. I like this sort of thing. It's like when I was a kid, I always used to like LMA Manager, and the best bit of the video game was upgrading the stadium, not really managing the team. I know the manager would never really get to make those decisions, but it was fun on the game. So yeah, I think they filling in corners makes sense, doesn't it, as and when required. But the St Andrews side, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but taking the roof off, but keeping the kind of the stand as it is, and then expanding either side, maybe. I imagine the club, far more qualified people than us have looked into this. But the reality is there are clearly ways that we can increase the capacity of Sincilbank without needing to move. So I would have fully expect us to explore that. But I would be very surprised to see us move.
I'd fully expect us to explore that if we were to become firmly in the championship.
Oh, yeah. If we go up and come down
again,
there's no need to change.
No. Very good. Charlie, I think, is it Chris to read?
Yes. So if we don't go up, what are the chances we keep Michael Skubala next season?
The same as if we go up, irrespective of whether we go up or not. Michael Skubala will be on people's radars. We're second in the league, unofficially, because people have seen it, but it's not been released by the club. It's not something that's official. 18th in the budget table. If you're a manager that's plus 16 and not in a division that's, it's a division of haves and have-nots. And we were pulled up the other week, by the way, for kind of making out little old Lincoln City, the have-nots. We've dropped 6 figures on 2 players. We're trading, but we are still small fish, not the smallest fish, but we're still small fish in a pond. We're still trying to do things the right way. Peterborough, similar sort of budget to us, and they're certainly not small fish either. So I'm not pleading poverty. But Michael Skubala is probably the best backed Lincoln City manager of all time in terms of the actual figure that's being dropped on wages when compared to every other season that's ever been done. But that's because it's been generated that way. It's because that's what we're fishing in. So yes, he's well backed, but he's still got this massive gap. We go up, absolutely, people are going to be looking at him. We don't go up, people are going to be looking at him. And you look at the likes of over the years, Matt Bloomfield stands out, Stephen Schumacher's made the jump, Ryan Lowe's made the jump, Danny and Nicky Cowley, Paul Hurst. Managers who do well at the top of this division are given a chance in the Championship by somebody. But caveat, Michael's model at Lincoln, I'm not talking about the buying and selling, I'm talking about tactically and the way that we approach the games, will be attractive to some clubs and not others. So when Michael Appleton was being linked with West Brom, you could see it because Michael Appleton played the type of football, believe it or not, people, that West Brom would like, or that Leicester City would like, the passing game, the possession game, the based on individual technical brilliance. Michael's based on hard work, graft and fight. So for instance, if Stoke or Burnley was still in the Premier League and got rid of their manager, we were in the Championship, Michael Skubala would be perfect for that. But would he be perfect right now to go to a Middlesbrough? Probably not. Not labelling him as long ball, and just the type of football, that high energy, high intensity, low possession kind of, it would favour an underdog. So for me, if he goes to the Championship, if we don't go up, it's a Preston North End that we're happy with, a Paul Heckingbottom that want to kind of be compact and hard to beat. But I think our chances of keeping him remain the same. If we go up, maybe not. Maybe if we go up, our chances of keeping him are slightly diminished. But even if we don't, either way, I still think he's going to be hot property.
Well, I'm sure this is what people want to hear, but for the first time this evening, I'm not going to 100% agree with you. Yeah, it is good, isn't it?
Yeah. It's nice that you're wrong every so often.
Well, maybe you are, or maybe both of us are. I would say in terms of the style, I would be tentative to pigeonhole Michael Skubala's football, his style, to be what we're currently playing. I would say he's very adaptable and has showed over the last couple of seasons that we're moving closer to what he'd like when we get in that final third. We're certainly playing a lot more football, high intensity on the deck in that final third than we probably have over the last couple of years. I would say he's learned over the last couple of years how you deal with League One. And in order to be successful in League One, you need to be able to deal with long balls, be good at set pieces, and you can't be too idealistic. The higher up the levels you go, you probably can be more so in that regard. The football we're playing here is a little bit different than it was that his Leeds team were playing, for example. So obviously it's different competition, but the point is it's adaptable. However, in terms of answering the question, yeah, go on.
Just before the however, all I would say is that I'm not pigeonholing him in any position, but, and again, you may or not agree with that, clubs will appoint based on what is evidenced. And at the moment, Michael's evidence is that that's what he plays. So unless they have dug properly deep in, they would have to be convinced that we can take this guy and he's not going to play the type of football at Lincoln. I agree with you. Michael, I think, is tactically flexible. I think, if the situation called it, he could play great football. He could get teams to play great football. But I think clubs would appoint on what's evidenced. So
yeah, that's a fair point. He will probably attract a lot of attention, as you say, because of the budget table. As much as there is a bit of a nuance to that we shared in our Discord recently and discussed a little bit on the podcast. And like you say, we're not pleading poverty, but outwards managers themselves are regularly shortlisted off the back of are they plus or minus in terms of the budget table. And it's not just this season; it's the season before and the season before that as well. So he's got a track record of overachieving. If you're a Championship club, most clubs that aren't parachute payments have to overachieve in order to be able to get into the playoffs and be able to have a half a chance of the fortune of the Premier League. So there are a lot of clubs, I think, in the Championship that would be very attracted to Michael Skubala. In terms of a direct answer to the question, if we don't go up, what are the chances of keeping him here? I would just say slim. I actually think we'd have less opportunity to keep him if we didn't go up than if we do. We might lose him either way. But I think, let's be honest, unless we have a catastrophic second half of the season, we have relegation form, it's very likely we're going to finish at least in the playoffs. Not guaranteed by any means, but it's likely. If you're not a Lincoln fan and you're outside looking in, you would back Lincoln to at least finish in the top 6 right now. If we do, and we don't go up, Michael is at the very worst going to have a plus, 12, 13 in terms of the budget table. So that's going to attract attention either way. If we don't go up, I think we're going to get more. He'll probably have more interest. Might not have as many clubs to choose from, but we'll certainly have interest. If we do go up, the fact we're in the Championship and he got us there, there's a little bit of connection there. And hey, there might be an offer we can't refuse. He can't refuse, but there's probably we have a greater chance to keep him if we go up, in my opinion. But I appreciate this is all hypothetical, but it's quite fun to discuss, isn't it?
Isn't it just? Right, let's roll another question, Charlie. Do you think Stacey West sponsored Eric Ring will make an impact in the team before the end of the season?
Right. Not really. Probably. Will he have a chance to impact games, particularly if we're behind in games? Yeah, I think he's a really good impact player. I think he needs to improve a lot, or the perception is he needs to improve a lot in terms of the outer possession stuff. All the stuff we've said that we're good at, that's probably the weaker part of Eric's game. He's great. He's a really good highlights reel. He's a really good kind of threatening player going forward at times. But there's probably a reason that he's not found himself as a regular fixture in the start 11 so far this season. Bar a huge change, evidence would suggest probably not has become a kind of a fixture, as pains me to say. Hopefully he'll have some opportunities and he'll have some big moments for us. But cards on the table, I don't expect Eric to be a key player for us the second half of the season.
No, something Peter, but there was just a moment. I'm actually watching it back now where he was just dispossessed so easily on the left-hand side. It was right in front of me. And my first thought, it looked so similar, was, bloody hell, Rob Street, that's not good enough. And then it's Eric. And I'm thinking, literally it was 39 minutes into the second half. He had 10 actions he was involved in when he came on and was only successful in 3. I really like Eric. And actually, we were talking there about the Championship. I think if he were on the bench for us in the Championship, he would maybe be a little bit more effective than he is in League One. I think his style of play might get a little bit more time, a little bit more kind of, I don't know, a bit more space. I mean, potentially that's one of those misconceptions that everybody thinks, oh, League One's really intense. League Championship, you get more time on the ball. Maybe you don't. Maybe that's just what you think when you're in League One. When you're in League Two, you think it's more intense than League One. So I fear that he will get 10 minutes from the bench here and there. But again, I've just touched on evidence. I've just touched on Championship clubs. Evidence Michael Skabala is doing something, and therefore that's what they would judge him on now, not what he's also capable of or what some would. On the evidence that Eric Ring has shown in his cameos, as much as we know he can score goals, as much as we know he can make things happen, I haven't seen evidence of the fact at the minute that he will impact the first team. Breaks my heart to say that, because I backed him heavily in the summer, but I backed JJ McKeon heavily last summer. So
I think the whole Stacey West team backed Eric this summer. I know there was probably a little bit of bias because we sponsored him, or the patrons of the site sponsored him, but I think we all saw some flashes towards the end of last season when he did get running the team, and he looked like really promising. And we thought, this is going to be his breakout season, his second season syndrome in the good way. One reason or another hasn't quite worked out just yet.
No. Go on then, Charlie. Let's have another for Chris to read.
If you could steer one opposition player you've seen this year to improve our squad, who would it be?
Oh, I wish I was reading that one out for you because it'd give me more time to think. So off the top of my head, I mean, this is recency bias, first of all. I really liked Matt Garbutt for Peterborough. Thought he really got on the ball. He really affected things. He really changed things. I'm going to pick 3, Chris. So if I pick one of the ones that you were going to pick, my apologies. I really like Charlie Webster, Burton. I think if we had him, he would have to probably play in the 10, but he's that kind of Jack Moylan-esque. I think he's got that ability to play there. Really talented. He'll be in the Championship really soon. And then an obvious pick, and again, it wouldn't matter what system you play. You'd fit this player in. It'd be Lewis Wing at Reading. He's miles and miles ahead of anybody else in this division. Now, bearing in mind that in the past I've picked Johnny Smith and Matt Helm, who were both playing in League Two. That could be the kiss of death for those three players. If I had to pick one of those that I think, yeah, he would do it for me, it would probably be Webster. I just think technically he's very good, and the question is improve our squad. So we're not looking to replace Conor McGrandles or even Bartholomew. We're looking at somebody who improves the squad overall. And I think Webster would bring that something that Jack Moylan brings to the 10 role, but probably nobody else would, with the ability to play elsewhere as well. So Charlie Webster for me.
Cool. I've got two. One's obvious. Well, they might be both obvious, but one I've got a bit of a personal connection to. Which I'm really pleased about. Yeah. But the first one I was going to say was Cozier Dewberry. Like realistically, I know he's on loan at Bolton, and he's just looked to cut above the level ever since the opening day of the season, really, or the opening of his first game for them.
Apart from when I pick him in the fantasy league,
indeed, I think everyone knows he's good, so he gets double mark now. But ultimately, he's clearly an outstanding footballer at this level. I've got three. Really liked Kelly Namai at Salford. Thought he was a really clever little player. Whether he fits us completely, don't know, but just really liked him. But yeah, Laurent Tolai up top, obviously was at Aldershot 2 or 3 seasons ago. I really liked him in the National League and kind of spoke quite heavily on him at the time. So I'm kind of really pleased to see him doing well because it means I got at least one thing right. But no, I think it's not just he scored goals, it's his style because he's been all action, albeit a little bit hot-headed at times, but all action. He can run in behind, but you can hold the play up, you can link up, you can finish. He's looked every inch a top League One player in a struggling team, by the way, struggling Plymouth team that don't really offer him too much service. Without them, they'd be really, really struggling. Sorry, without him, they'd be really, really struggling. Yeah. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Tolai. Not that we need a striker, but would he improve our current 11? I don't think there's anyone in the Lincoln City fan base that would disagree that he would.
Just another thing. I've been raving about Peterborough a bit, which is odd, isn't it, for a team that we've put 8 goals past. I really like Lisby on the wing for them. And I really liked the lad that we were linked with in the middle, Brandon Keeler, who also played alongside Garbutt. I mean, they were both really, really good. Flossie has said Castledine as well. He's just signed for Middlesbrough, hasn't he? For quite a lot of money. Yeah, he looked a decent player. I think the ones that have stood out for me are the ones that jump out in teams that we've either beaten comfortably or the ones that are doing it where they have to carry a little bit, like Webster at Burton. I mean, he's surrounded by obviously nice passes of the ball, according to JJ McKiernan. But
silly boy saying that out loud.
Silly boy.
It's supposed to just to bring up a technicality. You could probably name quite a lot of Chelsea players.
Yeah. I suppose opposition player. I mean, I actually thought League One, whereas.
Oh, so did I. Obviously, hence
you pulled Kelly and Mai out, who incidentally on the recent bronze challenge on EA, because he's a defender, won me a load of objectives. And he had
is he a wing back on there? That's horrific.
No, he's a striker or whatever, but he's also got defender as defender left, I think. So
yeah. Oh, because on FIFA there aren't wing backs, it's just left back, left mid, left wing striker, etc.
So right, let's take a quick break, and then we will come back in a short while. Right, thank you everybody for calling in. Let's just bring Charlie in very quickly because I want to ask him a question live on air. So Charlie, how many questions have we kind of got left?
About 10, but there are 5 of them also that are more quick fire joking questions.
So we might run over by 10 minutes or so, but we'll try. We've got about 10 questions left, Chris, 5 serious ones. So we'll try and he's just putting his ears
in. He didn't hear any of that, did he?
We've got about 10 questions left, but only 5 are serious. So we'll try and push through those. And right, I'll get rid of Charlie again. Right.
Sorry about that.
Really quick look just through to say hello to everybody. So Mr. Barton says hello from a very wet Louth. It was very icy road earlier. I did end up going to Rugby to see Mo, whose birthday it was. But when I went out from my room, my feet were soaking. Devon Imp, evening all. Good evening, sir. Richard, evening, gentlemen. Mastermind or Sale of the Century tonight. Don't know what that is. I'm assuming that's what's on the television. And I've been watching Runaway, the Harlan Corbin thing with James Nesbitt. So, Ollie, evening all. Flossie, good evening. Dominique, good evening. Don't miss anybody out. Chris Cawthorne, if we beat Luton, Burton, Bradford, and Cardiff beats Bradford, do you think we can start believing? Yes. All those teams that are in there. So if we win our next 3 games and Cardiff beat Bradford, we'll start believing that. Jacob, good evening, boys. How are you? Up the imps? We're good. Thank you, Jacob. Up the imps. If I miss anybody, my apologies. Roy says, hello, chaps. Chris Townsend, he runs his admin on the Facebook Lincoln City Exiles Facebook page, which is good for a little bit of debate. So get on there. First place, great podcast. First place to go for Imps news. I like this. Flossie says it's a second happy place to go. Devon Imp says beats all the knuckle draggers on social media. I am one of those. Neil Flower, good evening, mate. Jongo Fett, definitely a Star Wars character. Hello, everybody. Gerard is on. Do you think we can keep Aldous Kabbalah if we don't go up? Which we have answered. But yep, good to see you. Will Drury, thank you for watching. Dom Clark, thank you. Nigel Biggs is already believing. You know what? When I zoom up on these, there never seems to be as many. And then when you're going through them, there's so many people watching. Thank you. Evening, gentlemen. Jovan on fire. Indeed he is.
Yes,
Molly,
he is.
Patrick and an assist, the sounding form. Gaz Nicholson. Hello, my friend. This is good. 375 AF. Very good. That's a great name. I wish my name was numbers and letters. If the real mark, HG. These having a little debate with Dom. Always keep it friendly, guys. But hello, thank you for watching. Keith Clifton is in. Thank you for watching. And I don't know who that is. Somebody else, random. Could be Ben. Couldn't it? Right. Shall we get ready to come back in since we've got some questions to go at?
Yes, just quickly, I'm just checking something. Michael mentioned Marco Scibale's contract doesn't expire till the end of 2028. So if he does go, we'll be due a reasonable size compensation. Don't want him to go, though. Obviously.
Hello and welcome back to the second part of the Stacey West podcast. I was just waiting for the cue while Chris talked, but he kept talking and I missed the cue every time, and I've got to come back on either 0 second or 5 seconds. I can't come back on a 2 or a 3. It just screws with my brain. So we were having questions beforehand. I think the one that we had beforehand, Chris read out. So Charlie, if we can have another question, please. Chris, which player can we least afford to lose in this transfer window if we see ridiculous bids from other clubs?
Right now, Tom Hamer.
Ooh.
Adam Jackson is not fully fit. Lewis Munson looks to leave the club. It's probably the only position right now is the key part of that I've read into it. Right now, that if the bid comes in that we literally can't turn down, I think that would require quite a big hole to fill, because Tom is obviously really good in terms of his defending, in terms of a lot of his metrics. He's one of the best centre backs in League One, actually slightly ahead of Sonny Bradley in lots of defensive metrics, which is really interesting. He's also a target of set pieces for us when we kick the ball into the box, and he's the one that throws the ball into the box. It's really dangerous. So, yeah, I think he's become a really key player for us. I think we've shown in terms of squad depth, we're pretty good. We're all right everywhere else. I know Jacko started the season in that position, and Tom had to wait his time, but he's becoming a really key player. And Jacko's not fit yet. Monsma doesn't look like he's going to be around for the long term. So probably leaves a big hole, I would say, right now.
Good question. I mean, I don't see the word right now anywhere in the question, so it's nice that you've kind of created that. But no, that's good. That's good. It's creative license. I would actually agree. I'm going to pick another player, but I would agree personally that Tom Hamer right now we couldn't lose. The other one that we could least afford to lose in this transfer window, there's a handful that you think, well, we couldn't afford to lose Sonny Bradley, Adam Reed, Tendai Darikwa, but nobody's going to come in with ridiculous bids for players who are 32, 33 years old. It's just not going to happen, and that's no disrespect to them. They're some of our key performers at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think there's a fee that would justify us selling a player like that, because of their age. They're not going to attract a huge fee, and their value for us is probably so much higher on the pitch than it ever could be with a sale.
And McGrandles has popped up. Yes, I can see that, but I think if McGrandles went, Bartholomew could come, and it's not going to happen, feasibly. I'm going to be, I don't know whether this is quite controversial or not. I'm going to say Rob Street. And that might be surprising for a lot of people, given how I have been quite negative on Rob. But do you know what? Over Christmas, I've bought into it. I bought into him. Do you know what? His work rate is like Ben House levels. And we know that Ben picks up a few injuries and a few knocks for his high kind of intensity game. I think Rob's flexible. He plays on the right. We don't like him there. He plays through the centre. He maybe doesn't score all that many goals. It would either be Rob or Freddie Draper. I don't think we can afford to lose a striker because I think they're the ones that cost quite a lot of money.
Yeah, so, I agree. I agree. On McGrandles, I think he fits into the same category as a Derek or a Reach or Bradley.
Yeah.
His importance to us is far greater than whatever fee we would realistically receive from anyone. So it has to be a player that is of saleable age. I think Tom Hamer is probably just at the top end of that, where he's a defender, so probably has a slightly longer career. But I'm with you, actually. I would say, both of our forwards that are starting at the moment in Street and Draper, they're so fundamental to how we play. I think Fred gets so unfairly criticised because he doesn't necessarily score as many goals as he'd like. And don't get me wrong, we would like to see him, when he gets into those positions to get those shots away, hit the target a bit more. Yeah, of course he would. But I just think it's all the stuff he does around that allows us to get into those positions in the first place, how he helps us get up the pitch, stay up the pitch. I think it's so underrated. And I always like to look at it, because we all always look at it with Lincoln City spectacles on, because we're Lincoln fans. But if you look at playing against him from an opposition's perspective, he's just a bloody handful. He's a nuisance. It's really, really difficult to play against. I remember when we had Matt Reid, obviously he's a slightly different player, but a similar sort of profile. And in the National League, a lot of National League teams knew Matt Reid's strength, knew how that it was going to be a horrible threat to play against him. So they put 2 players on him. But that just means that there's a spare man all the time for us to find. And we utilise that loads. I know it's a different level, but the principle stands. If it's a 1v1, Fred wins his fair amounts of duels and headers, and certainly makes it more difficult for the defender to get a clean contact on it. So we then allow ourselves to drop on those second balls loads. It gets us up the pitch. So, I might want to change my answer now to Freddie Draper, actually.
Well, I've already picked him, so...
Okay.
Let's have another question then.
Would you rather now start with a fit Tom Bayliss or a fit Ivan Varfolomeev?
Oh, that's a great question.
It is a good question.
That's a great question. And I am going to... I think it will be... I don't think people will expect this answer. I would still rather start with a fit Tom Bayliss. Because I just think the way that we play, having that little bit of a spark, having that little bit of creativity, he can carry the ball really well. I mean, it is literally 6 of one, half another, dozen of another, swings and roundabouts. Do you know what I mean? There isn't a huge amount choosing between them. But I think long-term even replaces Conor McGrandles, and Bayliss is just a slightly different profile. So I am going to pick Tom Bayliss.
Good question. It's weird because I think you can see Bayliss and McGrandles as 2 quite different players, whereas Ivan is almost like an in-between of both of them, isn't he? Because he's got the set-piece delivery that Bayliss has, or certainly elements of that. We've seen that. So the dead balls, which we often kind of praise Tom for quite a bit, I think Ivan can fill in that. What Ivan probably isn't quite so adept at is driving forward. So if we're playing those 2 deeper midfielders, there's space to run into with the ball. Tom Bayliss is brilliant at doing that. I haven't seen that from Ivan. It's probably not so much his game. But I would say Ivan is probably better at winning the ball back than Tom Bayliss. So I think that side of Bayliss' game is underrated, and the numbers will back that up. But Ivan has shown, I think, to be exemplary in that. Oh, I haven't answered the question, have I? I'm going to say Ivan, but it's really close.
Yeah, it is really close. Come on then, Charlie. Who is your player of the season so far?
Conor McGrandles.
Conor McGrandles. Next.
That was easy. Oh, most improved player of the season. I suppose there's a caveat here, or a clarification of the question before we answer it. Is it the player that, and we just both need to agree that this is what we're going to answer, the player that we perceive to have improved the most since last season, or has improved the most throughout this season?
I would, let's say, the one that's improved the most in his Lincoln City performances since last season. I'm going to say Rob Street. Because when Rob Street went off for his loan spell, I can't remember who we'd played. It was somebody in one of the cups. It might have been like a Grimsby or somebody in the Mickey Mouse Trophy or a Morecambe. And he just looked a little bit lost. And I remember writing it, just going, he doesn't look like he fits anywhere. And funnily enough, it was when we were playing we were playing two up top at the beginning of last season, 3-5-2.
3-5-2.
And it was House and whoever, but it was Draper and Street often playing next to each other. And I thought with Draper and Street, I remember us watching one of the cup games saying they're too far apart, and we were blaming Rob Street for not getting close to Fred, and he didn't look like he would score. He looked like he had no confidence. And for me now, if I was to pick my starting 11 for Lincoln for Saturday, I would probably have Rob Street playing number 9. So for me, most improved player.
Good answer. Yeah, he's definitely on the list for me. I think there's 2 on the list for me. And I will pick one, but I want to fight both of their corners. We've just mentioned Freddie Draper. The reason I'm not going to select Fred in this is because I think he has improved over his Lincoln City career, because obviously he's been here a while. He's been here since a child, really, but a kid, and grown into a young man. If we're even talking about from last season to this season, I think he's become a little bit smarter in how he's used his body. But I think he's been underrated for a while. I'm going to say Rico Hackett is who I'm going to say. And not because Rico hasn't been a particularly good player for us, but I would say, and this might be recency bias, but I'm going to say his consistency is improved recently more than he's probably had a longer run where he's looked like a really top player at this level than he has at any other sustained period of time since he joined the club, which is great. Partly maybe it's because he's playing on the right, he's getting more in more central positions because of that, more goal scoring positions, so we've noticed it more, maybe. But I'm going to say Rico Hackett.
Here's something that you might find surprising. I've just had a quick look at Jules. You mentioned that Ivan wins the ball back a lot more than Tom Bayliss.
Interceptions, I think he's most interceptions per 90 in League One. I appreciate that's going to be skewed because of context, and he hasn't played that many 90 minutes, that many games, but it's promising, isn't it?
Yeah, you see, I didn't look at interceptions. Ivan is on 3.84 interceptions per 90 that's just in League One this season. Tom Bayliss I can't pull up because Y-Scout's rubbish and it stops you drilling down into seasons. But I actually had a look at Jules one, and actually in Jules, 12.3 for Ivan per 90 minutes at 53.3% success, and 12.5 at Tom Bayliss for 54.1%. So actually, neck and neck. You couldn't get a fag paper between them. Charlie, let's have another question. Do you see Makama moving this window, the summer or beyond, and how much do you think he could end up earning us all in sell-on fees? Well, I'm going to do a manager's answer to that, but over to you first, Chris.
I don't see him leaving this window. I think if you're Norwich City, you're reaping your rewards of signing him in the summer, and it would have to be a ridiculous bid to be able to accept. They're also in trouble, and they need their best players on the pitch, and he is one of their best players at the moment. So I think Norwich will not sell him. They don't need to sell him. They've got relatively wealthy owners, but they have got a model that I think they sign young with a desire to move them on. Now, summer is a different beast if and when he continues his form. So if he does score 15 to 20 goals throughout the whole season, which is not far off now, which is mad, isn't it? Then, any player of his profile is going to be certainly sought after by Premier League clubs. We've mentioned for years, even when we weren't massively, he wasn't looking like a shoe-in for a start in a Lincoln City shirt. We all knew he had Premier League physicality. It was just all those other parts of the game. And now he's kind of putting all those together, isn't he? So, sure, first part of the question, no, don't expect to see him moving this window. If he continues, he'll be a very saleable asset, be a huge profit for Norwich if they're able to sell him in the summer. He would certainly go for, I would say, 10 plus million on current form and current market value compared to other players with similar records at similar ages. And that would give us, we'd pretty much, I would imagine, pretty much double what we got in initial fee, if that was to be the case. It's just great to see him doing so well, though, isn't it, by the way?
That's all I'm going to say. Do I see him moving in this window? Don't know. Not a Norwich City fan. Don't write about Championship at the minute. Really couldn't tell you one way or another whether he'll move this window or not. The summer or beyond, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's undoubtedly going to get a move. Usually you think you see players have to have a good season or so rather than be a streaky player. I'm not saying he is streaky, but you'd have to see some sort of solid output, but you never know. But what I would say is that interceptions per 90 according to Y-Scout this season, Ivan Varfolomiev has 3.84. Do you know how many Tom Bayliss has on Y-Scout per 90 in League One this season?
No, because I can't get on Y-Scout when you're on it.
3.85.
Fair enough. There you go.
So all that shows to me is that there is. I know we're going back over the other question. It's just a misconception that Ivan came in at Christmas and was brilliant. That's right. That there's a misconception that Tom Bayliss hasn't been doing certain things among people. He does it. Yeah, there's a lot that he does that doesn't get seen. But in terms of Jovan, crack on. Next question.
Do any players from our 2017 or 2019 promotion sides get into our current team?
Here's a caveat, right? We're obviously not saying now, so we're taking them at the quality they were at in 2017 and 2019. So we're not going to say like Alex Woodyard now, who's playing, non-league or whatever. So it's got, I think he's at Sutton, isn't he? So it's got to be somebody that of the quality and in those 2 years gets into our team now.
Michael Bostwick does, I think. I don't know if many others do.
Guys, it's an absolutely brilliant question. I don't think anybody from the 2016-17 season does.
No, it's just such an enormous jump up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that was evidenced by Alex Woodyard's move to Peterborough, and him not doing it. Jason Shackle, is there a great difference between him and Sonny Bradley?
I think that's a fair shout. Yeah, that's a fair shout.
Potentially, Harry Toffolo.
When did he leave us? Toffolo? Was it the end of 18-19 or 17-18?
No, didn't he leave us in January? Didn't he leave us just before he won the title with us? Didn't he leave us when we were in League One? He did, because he said goodbye when we beat Bolton 5-1 and they had Liam Bridcut playing for him, and then we loaned Bridcut shortly after. So I think Harry Toffolo is a good shout.
One player I'm gonna add to this, and his career certainly hasn't gone to plan since he left the club. But at the time, Bruno Andrade looked every inch a League One player.
He's in the same division as Corby Town now, playing for AFC Rushden.
Yeah.
The other two that might get in and around it at their 2019 level, Mark O'Hara possibly would be an interesting one in the holding role, and Scott Wharton, who actually left us and went to Bury halfway through the title-winning season. But I quite liked him.
That's a good question.
Yeah, great question. Whoever came up with that on Discord, I don't know who it was, but yeah, really, really good. If you were stuck on a desert island and had to choose one member of the current first team squad to be stuck with, who would it be and why? I'm really glad it wasn't choose a member of the Stacey West squad to be stuck with on a desert island.
Yeah, none of them. I'll be on my own.
Be even different. Be even terrible.
Who would I want to spend some time with on a desert island? It's like, do I want good company, or do I want someone who I think is gonna help me get off the desert island? I'm gonna say Tendai Darikwa, because he will never say die, and he will try everything to kind of get us off there. He won't leave us down unturned. His energy levels will be exemplary. I'm going to pick Tendai.
It's a good question. I love questions like these. I have toyed with the idea in the last couple of seconds of picking Sonny Bradley, because I'm pretty sure if it was one of those desert islands like where there's jungle and stuff and you had to go and catch things, there's no doubt that if there's bears on the island, he's going to wrestle that bear and we can eat for a month. and he does look to me like he could survive in the wild. He grew up in Hull, which basically is like a desert island without the nice weather and the palm trees, isn't it? It's somewhere where you have to fight for your survival as well. So I would say that, but actually I am going to pick Adam Jackson because he's just a really nice guy, and I reckon we could just chill out, chat, as long as if we weren't in peril, I think I'd go for Adam Jackson.
Fair.
Charlie?
Who in the squad do you think can down a pint the quickest? And do you think you'd beat them?
Well, first of all, no is the answer to the second thing. Because I could not down a pint for love nor money. So there is no way that I could beat them. Who do I think could down a pint the quickest in the squad? That's good, because I don't think any of them particularly look like drinkers. I don't think there's any of them that look like they could neck a pint entirely. If anybody, again, I'm probably going to say Sonny Bradley again, because he grew up in Hull. That seems like the sort of thing that you do as a teenager in Hull. So we'll have Sonny Bradley for that.
Oh, this is going to come across. I hope this doesn't come across badly, and I hope Jack doesn't take this too badly. But I'm going to say Jack Mullen.
Stereotypical. You're going stereotypes.
I know.
Stereotyping.
I'm vehemently against lazy stereotyping, as you know. Don't like it at all. But I can't think of a better answer. And I'm with you. The answer is no. I absolutely crap it down in a pint. Absolutely crap it down in a pint. Though, if none of the players do drink, maybe, just maybe, this is one of the times I would win a battle of downing a pint if they're not used to it. Well, I'm not used to it either, but I'm probably more used to it than they are.
I've seen you nurse about 4 cans through 12 hours of pool, so I know full well. If there was anybody, if the question was, who do you think in the squad can nurse a pint the longest without being caught out, and could you beat them? Chris could definitely beat them at that. He can genuinely make a 330ml can like that. I don't know if occasionally you move over to the bin and then like you move away and like sometimes you shake. I don't know what it is, but you've got an innate skill of making drink look like they last longer than it should do. So there you go. Many more, Charlie? Would you rather get promoted as champions or finish in the playoffs, but get to watch Reedy and Joey go 3 rounds?
Oh, wow. I mean, if we can guarantee we're going to get promoted either way, because it says finish in the playoffs. So would I rather get promoted as champions or run the risk of finishing in the playoffs, not guaranteeing promotion in the playoffs, and watch Reedy go 3 rounds of Joey Barton? Oh, I would give really good money to watch Reedy go 3 rounds of Joey Barton. I'd give good money to watch anyone smack that little shitbag in the face. But you can't turn down promotion.
You can't turn down champions. Promoted
as champions. Because let's be honest, Joey Barton, someone's going to smack him at some point anyway. So whether it's Reedy or not, that'll be the icing on the cake. But someone's going to get him at some point because he'll open his big mouth and do it at some point, Moni. So he's got it coming.
I'm going to say I don't hold on to anger. And Joey Barton may well not be everybody's cup of tea. And he may well be somebody that other people find odious. But for me, like, just let it go. Like you say, whatever happens with Joey. What he says and does doesn't directly affect me. But Lincoln City being promoted as champions of League One and going into the Championship, yeah, definitely. There isn't anything you could offer me that would convince me that finishing in the playoffs is better than going up automatically. I would rather finish third than go into the playoffs and win it, because I don't want to have to live with the levels of emotional stress that the playoffs bring. One of the last times I cried before losing Dad was Sunderland in the semi-final when Tom Hopper scored that goal, because I just worked myself up so much, and then Sunderland scored. Were they 2-0 up? Did we win 2-0 at our place, and they were 2-0 up at their place? And then Tom Hopper scored, and we won 3-2. I remember Tom Hopper's goal. We'd been terrible in the first half. We'd been under the cosh. TJ had cleared one off the line, and literally that final whistle went, and I had to walk into another room because I was crying out of relief more than anything. I can cry for joy, but when something makes me cry out of relief, my body's not built to endure that stress. So I'd rather finish third. Even if you said to me you will almost definitely win at Wembley, I'd take the third, especially because I've got gig tickets booked for one of the playoff weekends.
Yeah, fair point. Actually, I was surprised myself there because I'm normally a pretty chilled out sort of guy and don't like hatred and dislike. But Joey Barton has clearly rubbed me up the wrong way at some point, hasn't he, for me to come out with that? But yeah, absolutely promoted as champions, hands down.
Turn away from the dark side, young Jedi. The hate will consume you. Remember.
Indeed.
Come on, Charlie. Let's have another one. Chris, it's
York
you,
went top of the National League yesterday, and Boston sacked their manager today. Which of the two would you prefer to see promoted to the EFL?
York.
Yeah, York.
And nothing to do with local rivalry. It's just because I like to see clubs that have been Football League clubs for the majority of my life come back to where they came from, because I remember how that made me feel. And I think anybody that supports a Football League club that's dropped into the National League deserves to feel that level of joy that we felt, or that I felt personally in 2017. I would never, ever deny a proper, and no disrespect to Boston, a proper Football League club with 50, 60, 70, 80 years of league football behind them. I would never deny their supporters when they've been to Welling, or like York, they've been to Bradford Park Avenue and places like that. I would never deny them the opportunity to visit footballing hotbeds like Barrow and Harrogate.
Yeah, I agree with that. York are a quote-unquote proper Football League club, aren't they? And lovely city as well. But in terms of a football side of things, they're a league club. There's loads of ex-league clubs down in the National League that we're fighting to get out of it. We know how hard it is to get out. They're a club that deserve to be in the Football League, I think. That's nothing against Boston. I actually don't dislike Boston. I know their fans don't like us very much, but never really seen them as a real rival. Primarily because they've always been a non-league team, other than those 3 or 4 seasons they had in the EFL for when we were in League 2 as well, or Division 3 as it was at the time. I certainly wouldn't begrudge Boston another journey into the EFL, but of the two, York win.
Yeah. 2 more questions left, I'm told. This is you, isn't it, to read? Go on.
If you had a personal dilemma, which would you choose? Going to a baby shower for your 5th grandchild, or B, go to Wembley for the playoff final if Lincoln are in it? I'm getting the feeling this is a question that's not necessarily hypothetical, but there's someone maybe who has written this, that this is the reality for.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is 5th grandchild. It'd be a dilemma if it was your first grandchild. For your 5th grandchild, you're not going to remember all their names. Forget it. It's got to be Lincoln at Wembley. I was invited to a friend's, who was a close friend at the time, a wedding, but it coincided with Southport away on the opening day of the 2011-12 season. I booked off the wedding to go to Southport away. I don't have any grandchildren anyway, so yeah, whoever you are, whatever it is, just baby showers. What are they? Are they? Does that happen before the kid's born or after?
I don't know. I haven't had kids. Okay, my answer would be B. I mean, I haven't got children myself yet, so that will probably, that will mask this a little bit. But on that, just reminded me when we went to Wembley and we won in the EFL trophy, because it's probably, I would say, in the 10 years me and my partner have been together, the only time I've ever really put my foot down, because it just so happened that one of her best friends was getting married in York the day before, and I said, well, I'm going to Wembley. I can't miss this. It's a once in a, well, it felt like a once in a lifetime moment for us. I'm not missing it. Like, we could work our way around and going or whatever, but to do both, or we could do it separately. But I am not missing Wembley. And then you can read a lot into my good lady, because we ended up going to the wedding on the whatever day it was, the Friday probably. We got up early. We drove to Newark, got on the train from Newark all the way down to Wembley on that fateful day together. Oh, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. But the fact that she made it happen was great. So I'm very, very lucky in that regard. So I suppose the answer would be get a better family that doesn't have a baby shower on the same day that was the playoff final.
I've just Googled it. Baby showers are for before the baby's born. They're not going to remember it. Honestly.
Oh, the kid will still be there later. Be fine.
The definition of a baby shower, okay, it says a baby shower is a party to celebrate the upcoming birth of a baby, showering parents-to-be with gifts, well wishes and support, typically held a few months before the due date. First of all, right, never celebrate a goal until the referee gives it. That's an analogy. You can take what you want from it. So, and if the child is born, again, they're kids. When my niece was born, I remember ringing my brother. My my nephew wanted like £100 Transformer robot, and I rang my brother and said, like, I'm happy to get him that, but I'm not spending £100 on the Daisy Ray because she's only like literally a month old. And he's like, you've got to spend the same on them both. So Isaac didn't get the Transformer because for £100 you can buy an awful lot that a child can chew. So for me, yeah, until they're conscious. My first memories come around 3. Until then, doesn't matter how bad you are, Carl. It's Carl
it's
as
you,
well.
Carl. Oh,
It is Carl. Bless him. Carl
Sorry,
turned
mate.
up at my house randomly a couple of days before Christmas with a bottle of whiskey for us to share at the summer party. So, right, we must have one more question left, according to Charlie, and we are over the hour. So, I thought it was going to be a fun one. What position do you predict we finish the season in, Chris?
Second.
Second. Really?
I hope that doesn't pile on the pressure. But we can. I really think we can. I don't know if we will. I don't know if I expect it. But if you ask me to put a tenner on it right now, like, yeah, because I think we're better than Bradford. And if we beat Bradford, we'll have a gap. And then it's just, yeah, it's a race to the finish line, isn't it? And anything can happen. And I'm not saying I expect it. I really don't want to heap pressure on everybody. Not that they're going to listen to this, but if gun to my head, where do I genuinely think we could finish? I think it's second. I'd be delighted with 6th. Be delighted with 6th. But I'm going to say second. I'm going to say second. Where do I think we will finish? Second.
4th. And I don't think it'll be Bradford that are above us.
No, I don't.
Bolton, Stockport, and Huddersfield. Those 3 cannot be as bad as they've been in the first half of the season, in the second half of the season, given what they're going to be able to spend. Huddersfield, I've never been convinced about Lee Grant, so I'm not sure that they're the team that will catch us. I really like the look of Bolton and Stockport with their big win against Huddersfield. Stockport are a team that you just expect it to click, and now they've got Norwood back as well. I just think it's the pessimist in me. It really is the pessimist in me, but I don't think we finish outside the top 6 now. But Luton are going to spend as well. They've just brought a Man City kid in. Yeah, I think us, Bradford, may struggle to keep pace. I think Stevenage will fall away. So I think it will be, yeah.
The big thing for me is just, and probably not so much Stockport, but I agree that Bradford will probably just start to ease away a little bit. For me, it's the gap that we've just given ourselves to particularly Huddersfield and Bolton. I know Stockport are only 6 points behind. I'm actually less sold on Stockport this season. They've been a bit more inconsistent than I expected them to be. Again, that could well change, but I do feel the other 2 are more likely to go on a bit of a roll, despite some actually patchy form from both of them in the last 3 matches. But we're in a good spot. It's not just that we're in second; it's that we're in second with a gap of 9 points to 5th. Which is where Huddersfield and Bolton are. Yeah, and it's Bradford and Stockport. But it's Bradford and Stockport below us. I don't think Bradford will finish there. They've done so well to be there. Stockport's the unknown quantity, but I'm just not that confident with them. Their home form's pretty poor compared. I mean, they're the best away team in the league, but you've got to be strong at home to have a real sustained chance of promotion, haven't you? It's going to be super exciting end to the season. It's going to be nerve-wracking. Every game is going to feel huge. Last season we were kind of joking that it's quite nice to go to watch football the last 5 or 6 games of the season with no pressure on it and just sit there and enjoy it. And it was nice because that's what we were given and you make the most of it. And it's going to be nerve-wracking. It's going to be pressure-inducing, but it's going to be huge. It's going to be some ride, isn't it? But yeah, if you had to make me pick a number, if you're going to make me pick a number, I'm going to say second. I'm going to believe that we can do it.
Very good. One question I need to ask as well. I think that's all from Charlie, so we can take that one off now. You've watched Ted Lasso.
Yep.
How nice was Coach Beard's Belstaff jacket? I kept looking at it. I ended up Googling it. £550.
Bloody hell.
I can't risk. I thought I spent 165 on a jacket just for Christmas, and I felt like I'd had my pants down. But I would really like it.
I don't know if I could justify spending that amount of money on anything you can't drive or live in.
It's a fair point. What about a new phone? Could you buy if you get a contract with a new phone? It's going to be over time. Mind you, that new phone I got, that when we played Crawley in the FA Cup, it arrived, didn't it? While we were playing pool the night that you nursed that drink all night, and then the screen went on it. So I'm actually on my old phone that's got terrible battery life. Battery on it just runs out so quickly. It's unbelievable. So anyway, we're way over time now. So that was episode 436 of the Stacey Ross podcast. We didn't have a game to look back on. We didn't have a game to preview, and we still managed to drag the chatter out well beyond an hour. The team, I'm not sure exactly who, and I can't be asked to pull up the rotor at the minute, but the team will be back on Thursday. It's inevitably going to be Ben with one of Charlie, Chris, or Emily, I would imagine.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. Do we do Wednesdays?
We've done Wednesdays all season.
I haven't done a midweek one, so I wouldn't know. So it'll be Wednesday then, apparently. There you go. And then next Sunday, we'll be here talking about how we've beaten Luton and looking ahead to Burton, which we might have to do the podcast before Wednesday when we play Burton, because there's not much point in putting a preview out on Wednesday when the thing's on Thursday. Anyway, whatever. Like Chris says, it's going to be a hell of a ride. In the meantime, we'll see you all soon. Up the Imps.
Up the Imps.
We'll be right back.